Hey everyone, I'm back from spring break and Jesus is back in the temple with a vengeance. They came into Jerusalem, and after entering the temple, he threw out those who were selling and buying there. He pushed over the tables used for currency exchange and the chairs of those who sold doves. He didn't allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. He taught them, "Hasn't it been written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations'? But you've turned it into a hideout for crooks." The chief priests and legal experts heard this and tried to find a way to destroy him. They regarded him as dangerous because the whole crowd was enthralled by his teaching. When it was evening, Jesus and his disciples went outside the city. So, to recap, Jesus is now in Jerusalem, and he went to the temple the first day and didn't do anything, but he does something dramatic on the second day. So why does Jesus do this? Well, there's some kind of bad answers or interpretations, I think, right? It's about, well, you just can't do business in God's house, God's temple, or the church, right? You have to worship properly. Or that it's about why righteous anger is okay, and we can excuse our violence and flip tables if it's for the right cause, right? I don't think we should trust ourselves to do that. I think we actually have to know something about how the temple was set up to understand what's going on here, because it had different courts and really kind of segregated the worshipers out by where you could go. Right? So the high priest could go into the Holy of Holies, priests could go into other holy areas, Jewish men could go into the court of Israel, and then you had the women's court, which was only for Jewish women who could only go that far. And then outside of that, you had the court of the Gentiles, or the nations, right? So this is a big outdoor area, and that's where they were exchanging money and selling these animals. So Jesus' problem is less about what's happening and where it's happening. And that's clear from the quote from Isaiah that he uses. Right? It's not a house of prayer for all nations if the place where all the nations are allowed to go is full of currency exchange booths and loud farm animals. So the way that the temple, the space is being used, it kind of symbolizes the mistake that Israel was making in this time. They were called to bless the whole world, right? Go back to the story of Abraham. That's what the whole point of all this. But they kept that blessing for themselves, and a lot of times were more of a curse to outsiders. And then in addition to that, the priests, the temple system was effectively robbing people using religion. And so this place of worship has become a hideout for crooked leaders. Right? So like Jeremiah, who he's quoting there, Jesus will not tolerate people using holy places as props or as screens for injustice. So that's why Jesus flips tables. Even though this shutting down of the sacrificial system is what leads to these leaders wanting to kill him. So why does this matter for us? Well, you probably know that Christians at times can also be pretty exclusionary, that we can be more of a curse than a blessing to those on the margins. So, if Jesus showed up in our churches, what would he start flipping over? And would we cheer him on, or we just want to get rid of him too? Is our place a place for all?